All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about turning a messy pile of data into something clean, clear, and actually useful. Sound good? Let's get started. You know the feeling, right? You're just staring at this wall of numbers, scores, metrics, whatever, and it's just nothing. It's not telling you anything yet. It's a puzzle, and today we're going to put the pieces together. And here's our mission for the next few minutes. We're going to take a basic list of student scores and, using this amazing Python library called Pandas, we're going to transform it into a full-blown, totally automated grade report. So here's our starting point. Imagine a dataset with thousands of rows. Each row is a student, and we have their scores for 5 different subjects. Our job? To turn all those numbers into a real story about how they performed. Our number one tool for this job is the Pandas data frame. Now, the easiest way to think about it is like a spreadsheet, but way, way smarter. It's like Excel on steroids. It looks like a table, but it lets us manipulate thousands or even millions of rows with just a few simple commands. This is the foundation for everything we're about to do. Now, before you start changing your data, you absolutely have to understand it first. This is a crucial step in any data project. It's kind of like doing a little recon. We've got to know what we're working with. And Pandas gives us this awesome little toolkit for exactly this. First up, .head lets us just peek at the first few rows to get a feel for the data. Then, .info gives us a quick technical summary of all our columns. Are there any missing values? What kind of data are we dealing with? And my favorite, .describe instantly spits out a whole bunch of stats for all our numbers. It's like getting an X-ray of your data set before you start operating. Okay, recon is done. We know our data. Now it's time for the fun part. We're going to start enhancing it. We're going to create brand new columns that add some really valuable information that wasn't there before. And you know what? Creating a new column in Pandas is beautifully simple. It's pretty much always the same 3 steps. First, you grab the columns you need. Second, you tell it what to do with them. Add them, divide them, whatever. And third, you just give your new column a name. That's it. So here's what's happening. First, we're going to add up all the subject scores to create a new column called obtained_marks. Then we'll use that new column to figure out the percentage. Now, the real magic here is that Pandas does this for every single row at once. No need to write some slow, clunky loop. It's all done in a flash. That's the power of what people call vectorized operations. And trust me, it's incredibly fast. All right, now this is where things get really interesting. Simple math is great, but what about when things get more complex? What if we want to assign a letter grade based on that percentage we just calculated? We can do this by writing a simple little Python function. Think of this function as our book of rules. It just takes a percentage, and using a few if this, then that statements, it figures out the right letter grade. It's our custom logic, all bundled up and ready to go. So, we have our rules, but how do we apply them to every single student's percentage? Well, we use something called the apply method. It's basically a magic wand. You point it at the column you want to work on, you hand it your custom function, and boom, it zips through every row, applies your logic, and builds a brand new grade column with all the results. Okay, what we just did worked perfectly. It got the job done. But as you start working with bigger and more complicated datasets, you'll find there's a more advanced way to handle this, a method that's cleaner, faster, and just more efficient. So let's look at the 2 approaches side by side. On the left, that's our one-by-one method. We made one new column, then another, then another. It works, but on the right, we have the all-in-one method. Here, we write a single, smarter function that takes in all 5 subject scores at once and spits out all 3 of our new columns in one single step. And the difference in performance here is huge. By only touching each row once to get all our new columns, we cut down on the work the computer has to do. For a small data set like ours, it's a nice little speed boost. But for a data set with millions of rows, this approach is an absolute game changer. It'll save you serious time and makes your code way easier to read and maintain. And here it is, the final result of all our hard work. Look at that. We started with just 5 columns of raw scores, and now we have this complete report with total marks, a percentage, and a final grade, all neatly calculated for every single student. That's transformation in action. So what you've just seen is basically a mini data pipeline. We took raw, meaningless numbers, and we guided them through a process that turned them into a rich, insightful report. And with that more advanced method, we basically did it all with a single elegant command. That right there is the art of data transformation. We've successfully turned numbers into a story. But you know, the end of one analysis is always the start of the next big question. Now that you've seen how to clean up, enhance, and really structure your data, what deeper insights are just waiting for you to uncover? The possibilities? Well, they're endless.